Are you ready for some controversy, kids? Because I think this one might just be it. This is Tinto Talks number 15, and as always, if you want to keep up to date and informed about everything coming out of Tinto and the Project Caesar project, then hit the subscribe button. You stay informed, I get subs, it's a win-win, we both win, it's wins all around. But anyway, let's get into it. This is a dynasty map of Europe and the Middle East, and, it's nothing too surprising here. We already knew, the Plantagenets are going to be there, the Piasts in Poland, Palaiologos in the Roman Empire, and the some that we don't really, we have a little bit of a surprise, of course. Aragon and Castile not ruled by the Trastamaras. I believe the Trastamaras got into power in around 1356-ish, or at least they were in a civil war against the d'Ivres. But yeah, we got the de Valois there, Anjou, Naples in charge of Hungary and Naples, which is interesting. But anyway, enough of that. Let us get into the actual Tinto Talks, and we'll talk about what Tinto Talks is talking about today. And instantly, we see characters. We see characters. Now, at the very end of the previous dev diary, we were told that it was going to include something that many people have been asking for quite some time. And honestly, this could have been anything at all. It literally could have been anything at all. My first guess was family tree mechanic, and I guess I might be right. But also, it could have been literally evidence that the second core of my CPU is being utilized. That's been something that people have been asking for, whether they should be or not. But yeah, we have characters, so let us get into this. We're asking for feedback on the extremely crazily top secret game which has the codename Project Caesar. One thing that many have been asking for is a more in-depth dynastic gameplay. Yes, if I go back to my What EU5 Needs to Have video, having a dynasty system is exactly in there. Like, yes, I want that very much. Before we dive into the dynamics of dynastic gameplay, we must first talk about their building blocks, the characters, and we have this guy right here. We have an actual 3D modeled character man. This is the controversial part, because some people really, really dislike it. Some people really, really like it. Some people are on the fence about it. My personal opinion is they are... I knew it was going to be in. Not because I had been forewarned or anything, but purely because Paradox has spent such an incredible amount of money and invested a whole lot of time into building a 3D character system with characters that will grow older over time, realistically, and a character model where the children of the characters share traits with their parents. And mechanically, or I guess technologically, that system is incredibly impressive. Like, beyond wildest imaginations of holy shit, that's actually possible. Yes, apparently it's actually possible. However, it still resides somewhere in the uncanny valley. And when CK3 was coming out, I complained pretty much incessantly that all of the clothes had this very latexy, plasticky, shiny bin bag quality to them, and I really, really didn't like it. I'm not seeing bin bags on this guy, which is nice, but I am seeing, of course, it is very clearly the same system that is being used for facial features and all that. If you put this guy straight in CK3, he would not look out of place, for example. The hair looks a little bit better, I guess. Beard, I'm not entirely too particularly fond of, but it is what it is. But yeah, I don't know what character this guy is supposed to be, but maybe somebody can look at the paintings on the walls. Maybe they are recognizable, and maybe his identity can be gleaned. It's a European king with an early 18th century background. Okay then. While not copying the Crusader King's mechanics, a character in Project Caesar is a bit more alive than in, let's say, EU4. A character is born, lives, and eventually dies. Every character has an administrative, diplomatic, and military attributes ranging from 0 to 100, so a bit more than 0 to 6. Of course, these attributes will not add any sort of mana, naturally, but they will impact how well the character will perform certain roles. One example is the diplomatic ability of an admiral impacts the morale of the navy he leads. I think that's pretty cool. I like that. And characters aren't just rulers here. Obviously, we're being told about an admiral, so I imagine generals are also a part of that system. But I do like that the traits are actually impacting their armies as well in ways that aren't just, I've got 6 fire, 4 maneuver, 3 siege. This seems nice. This seems nice. Newborn characters start with 0, but grow until they're adults depending on what childhood trait they have. You can assign your ruler's children and grandchildren a specific education during their childhood. We're really... Alright, I feel like this needs to be kind of said. And I think I may have said it before. I've certainly said it in private. But Project Caesar... I'm certain it's EU5. I am beyond certain it's EU5, and I don't really care about people saying you shouldn't call it EU5 because it's not confirmed. I don't care. I'm going to call it EU5. I'm almost certain it is going to be. But it is more than that, really. We're getting mechanics. We have gotten mechanics for the past few weeks, months, that really seem to be stepping on the toes of Victoria 3. With steel toe boots and, spikes on the shoes. To the point where I think there is going to be a huge chance of a Victoria mod for EU5 coming out within the first few moments of the game's release. But it's not only that now. Now we're also stepping on the toes of Crusader Kings. And maybe it's not entirely fair to say that because, of course, Crusader Kings is about playing as a character, or I guess playing as a dynasty, and this is still playing as a country. But there is certainly an air of this is grand strategy game, the all-encompassing grand strategy game, the final grand strategy game. Grand strategy, the game, is kind of where I'm seeing this. We're getting elements of all of the successful and non-successful, but all basically getting ideas from everywhere. And the idea previously that a lot of people have had is we shouldn't take mechanic from X game because that's what X game has, and we need to keep these games very specifically mechanically distinct. And Johan seems to be completely not caring whatsoever about that philosophy. If something works in Victoria 3, he's going to take that system from Victoria 3. Diplomatic capacity is a great example. If something works from EU4, he's taking that element from EU4. If something works in Hearts of Iron 4, he's taking that element, and he doesn't give a damn that these elements are perceived to be that game's mechanics uniquely. It just doesn't matter to him. He's going to take it because it's a good system, regardless of where it comes from. And obviously it's not identical. Everything's going to get tweaked and made its own. But at the same time, we have had for a very long time a crying of, oh, this won't work because you're just watering down the mechanics when you're bringing it over from another game. And I don't see that being true. I don't see that being true. I really liked Imperator, even though it had elements from multiple different games, and I'm almost certain I'm going to like this game, even though it seems to be doing the same. But I've been rambling. I'm going to get back in. Let's keep going. We also have traits here. A trait that when on the air of the player increases the chance of hunting accidents by 200%. You know what? It's a joke, but I am certain that that's going to be fucking true, because I just know it. I just know it. But yeah, gifted is definitely one of the traits that you would definitely want on your characters. Characters ruling a country will gain up to 3 traits, depending on how long they've ruled. They're gained while ruling a country. So we have that in EU4, of course. Characters that are generals or admirals will also gain traits after combat. These are also unique traits for characters that are redacted or other secret thing. Okay then. Characters also have a culture they come from, a religion they follow, and they keep track of where they were born and where they're currently living. Wait, where they're currently living? Are we having locations, or just I live here now, rather than I am here now? That's probably the case. They belong to an estate, which for most characters tends to be the noble's estate. Many characters will have a father and or a mother as well. From historical characters at the start of the game, that will not necessarily be true. The number of spouses a character can have depends on religions and laws, but the number of children they get depends more on the fertility of their parents. So what can you do with characters? Well, it's not Crusader Kings, so characters themselves are not as important, and there are no character-specific events like in Imperator either. Okay, I'm okay with this. I am definitely okay with this. In this game, characters are tools to be used for the greater good. And if that means marrying off your daughter to secure an alliance with France, then that's what you have to do. True. Of course. You can arrange marriages in your country, send less useful characters into convents, ennoble great people, and much more. And we have another character here. It's an African ruler in the throne room, which, while beautiful, is just a background image. Okay. I like it. Not sure which African kingdom. I'm sure somebody more in tune with African cultures will be able to probably pinpoint exactly which one, but I am not that person. Yeah, okay. Speaking of marriages, I've just seen something. I've just seen it. Okay. Speaking of marriages, royal marriages in Project Caesar are not just sending a diplomat. Here it's far more limited, as you have to actually marry real characters, and often this is a vital action. If you can't arrange royal marriage with a country of enough prestige that has a young consort, you may be forced to marry a local noble from your country, or worse, even a lowborn. A royal marriage between two rulers will immediately form a union between those two countries. Every country has its own inheritance laws, which, if they differ, may cause a union to break, as the rulers would be different. This is probably not the audience where I need to explain the difference between Salic law and semi-Salic law, right? True. This is the whole reason for the 100 Years' War, because England had inheritance laws that were far less sexist than France's. The 100 Years' War, if you are looking from a modern point of view, modern lens, and modern sensibilities on the rights and roles of women in society, then England was clearly the good guys. We were just straight up less sexist. It's just fact. That's basically it. France sexist 1337 confirmed. It's just fact. So we have here the Bielbo dynastic trait. I've not heard of Bielbo, but Magnus the Third Bielbo. I've not heard of him. I've not heard of the Bielbo dynasty. I'm not gonna lie. But we have here a family tree, and I'm a little worried, right? I'm a little worried. I've said for a long time that I want to have a family tree. I am very glad that we're getting a family tree. What I'm not excited about is what I remember from Crusader Kings 3, which is the insane level of lag that we got when we opened the family tree menu, the UI, because it had to load every single character and all of their stuff for everyone that was in the dynasty going back to the start of the game, or before if you were looking at the Roman Empire. And I was very much more of the opinion that just an image would be better. I mean, if these are just images, if these are, post-rendered, the 3D portrait doodad people, and then we've post-rendered them and it is just an image, then sure, that seems reasonable. But it is a little worrying. But also we get a vision here of the traits. We have paper, bird, and sword skill. So we're getting a little bit of that EU4-ness coming through, which I'm kind of fine with. Generally, that's kind of what we got in Imperator as well, just with the addition of zeal and with religion being slightly less important. Not really that much less important, but I think it's fine that that is not a trait that characters have in EU5. But anyway, who's the founder of that dynasty? I don't know. I'm gonna guess his name was Johann, though. I'm just gonna guess that right now. Dynasties are important as they impact diplomacy in direct and indirect ways, as some inheritance laws prefer their own dynasty, and having the same dynasty can improve opinions between countries. As in almost all previous grand strategy games, the game will keep track of who's ruled the country before, so you can go back and admire them. We've tried to get in as much history as possible here. Even my heathen content designers refuse to have Odin as the original king of Sweden. Just fire them. Just fire them at that point, you know. But we have the ruling history of the Kingdom of England going back to 1100. So it's wild that they wouldn't just go like one ruler earlier and have William the Bastard. I'm not going to call him anything else other than that. I'm from the north. He is a bellend. Anyway, but we have the rulers of England here. We got ourselves lovely Richard the Lionheart. He was actually not a very good king, but whatever. We got Longshanks. Love that guy. Very, very anti-Scot. I don't love that guy. That's a weird thing to say. I remember that guy from playing Age of Empires 2. He was the bad guy in that game. But yeah, we have Longshanks. Everyone remembers him. And we are up to King Edward III in 1327. He's ruled for 10 years at the start of the game. Regnal numbering and actual names depend on many different things, of course. And next week we'll be looking at how the cabinet will work. Okay, so now that we've seen it, this game has characters, yeah, I also very much of the opinion that we are going to get the same system as Imperator Rome. Because while there is no mana whatsoever in the game, there needs to be some form of accruable currency that isn't gold, and Imperator had a phenomenal system, right? Political influence was a really, really good system, and even if it is just completely wholesale ripped from that game and put into EU5, I would not be disappointed. So I'm expecting the cabinet to be something along those lines, as in having a bunch of characters, whether it's 3 or whether it's 8, whether it's, whatever, and then their loyalty, I don't know if we're getting loyalty, maybe we're getting loyalty, to the ruling party is what determines how much political influence you have. But I wouldn't be upset if we had that. I imagine some people are upset, though, that we're getting characters, and I'm just going to refresh the page just so I can see if we have a bunch of X's, because I imagine there will be. Only 5 so far. Okay. All right. I'm okay with this. But yeah, I'd like to know what your thoughts are. Are you anti-character? Do you like the look of these characters? Is this what you wanted to see? I'd be curious to know your thoughts, so please do leave them in the comment section below. And until, I guess, Friday for some Tinto maps, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on Friday. Bye-bye.